heartbreak and a surprise for the tradie who lost all his tools.
Dozens, including children, evacuated as water swamps the Western Downs.
And the blow to unscathed households, with insurers closing their books in some areas.
The extraordinary survival of a pilot whose plane crashed at Hervey Bay.
Hopes build of mortgage relief, with sinking inflation prompting speculation a rate cut is close.
And the brave young Queenslander who saved her pet guinea pig from the jaws of a snake.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Sharon Gadella and Max Butcher.
Good evening. Flood-hit residents in Moreton Bay are demanding an investigation into the disaster that unfolded in Bray Park.
The mammoth clean-up has begun across Brisbane, but tonight some are still waiting for the water to recede.
On Beachmere Road, in what's left of the floodwaters, a house perched on stilts, still surrounded. Colin and his partner have done this before and are prepared to be stuck for a week.
How are you faring? You got supplies and everything you need?
Yeah, mate, we're pretty resilient up here. We're almost used to floods, but yeah, we'll just have to wait this one out by the look of it.
They're not the only ones along the Caboolture River still flooded in, as residents begin the mammoth task of cleaning up.
They've got mud all underneath them, so we'll have to rip them up, wash them, because they're washable.
Bray Park bore the brunt of raging floodwaters. They watched as their cherished possessions floated away. Now residents are left with the mess and the stench.
The smell of the mud.
The impacts of a disaster no one saw coming is now painfully clear. Streets are dumping grounds for the sodden and unsavable. As people move out, the bulldozers move in. Craig Bradshaw only purchased his place 8 months ago.
You just recently renovated?
Yeah, so we did 2 utility rooms downstairs, just finished them, and probably about a couple of weeks ago they're finished. Now it's all ruined.
The council says 150 homes have been damaged, 25 are severe. Disaster relief payments are now available to those affected.
We've activated hardship payments for those in Bray Park affected by the flooding.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese today meeting with SES volunteers in Murrumba Downs, and Luke Vaughan, who cut his foot saving a cow stuck in the North Pine Dam.
And this is a very solid bed, and the water has actually moved the bed.
For Jane or Claire, emptying her home is not an option. Her husband is immune compromised.
Yep, it's pretty life-changing.
This vision shows how quickly the flooding rose as bins were carried down the street. But as the water recedes, community spirit rises.
How long since you've had a proper meal?
The night before, so the 29th.
We met tradie Reggie Matthews yesterday. All his tools were drowned. Today we found him going door to door handing out water bottles and introduced him to Andy Fitzgerald from the Lions.
We have a saying that where there's a need, there's a lion. And I saw you on television yesterday morning and last night. And on behalf of Lions, we wanted to give you $5,000 to replace as many tools as we can.
You're joking.
I'm not joking. Okay.
Go ahead.
Because...
Oh my God.
What are your feelings in this moment hearing that from the Lions Club?
I'm excited because I can work now, I can still pay my bills.
As Bray Park residents grapple with what happened, they're now questioning why it happened, demanding an investigation into the cause of this latest flood disaster.
Why is there not an engineer or someone questioning this is not just an act of God, this is not just a rain event?
Residents hoping for answers and a solution so they don't go through this again. The Premier says, like all natural disasters, there will be a probe, and if there were issues, they will look at improvements for next time. SEQ Water has also moved to alleviate some community concerns around the dam levels and says there were no gated releases from North Pine Dam during the storm. As for the people here in Bray Park, it is very much a waiting game, both for those insurance assessors to come in and check the damage and for the heavy machinery to remove the rest of their destroyed belongings. They still have a long road ahead.
They sure do. All right. Garth Burley reporting from Bray Park tonight. Well, many flooded communities are facing a daunting clean-up for the second time in just 2 years. Families who lost nearly everything in 2022 left to pick up the pieces once more.
It doesn't matter how many times you go through it, a clean-up like this never gets any easier.
I'm done. I can't take any more.
The Hoffmans of Sanford endured the 2022 floods, their home and contents wiped out. They raised the house but haven't yet completed the rebuild. So yesterday, all their prized possessions were in containers outside, all now destroyed.
We've lost it all this time.
This is a family so cruelly touched by tragedy. Son Brandon died just 6 months ago of sudden heart failure. Photos, mementos, cherished items of the 25-year-old gone. Those that remain stained by mud.
This is Brandon's, but it's all wrecked and look, it's still got water in it.
For a family in need, strangers answered the call.
It's just devastating what they're going through. And as a community, we like to help.
The Hoffmans have been overwhelmed by the assistance they have received today for the clean-up, but it is going to take a lot more help to get them back into their home. Because despite everything they've been through over the past 2 years, this is exactly where they need to be.
I want to come home. I want to live in my house. I want to be where my son was brought up. That's what I want.
To make it happen, they need tradies. Money is not an issue, just getting people to commit.
These people are the most generous, beautiful people that are the first to put their hand up to help anyone else, yet they won't ask for help themselves.
No need to ask at the nearby Bowls Club. Members and guests getting to work after raging water left this mess.
We've got tradesmen here, we've got engineers, we've got everyone. Doesn't matter who you are, they come down with mops, buckets, generators, power saws, you name it.
A volunteer force with experience. This, the club's second flood in 2 years.
We're washing and we're bleaching and we're washing and we're bleaching, and then people turn up and feed us. It's absolutely fabulous community spirit.
A spirit that's been tested but not defeated. Joel Dry, 7 News.
Dozens of people had to be evacuated from the Western Downs community of Warra overnight. Children and the elderly were among those rescued.
In the face of floods, a family's relief.
Love you, Mum. Thank you, guys. That's my mum, my 80-year-old mother, getting evacuated from Warra.
Kimberly McDougall was helping others when floodwaters threatened her family.
They had to get her from the front yard because it was all flooded in the front of our house. They got her in a little boat thing and took her down here.
A flooded caravan was just a beginning.
When they tried to cross here, it was just a bit of water on the road.
The elderly couple inside needing to be saved by locals.
Yeah, hope she's okay.
SES finally arrived and then called in reinforcements. The whole town was going under.
We've been through that twice, that within about a 12-month period we had these floods, but they didn't come right up to our back steps.
Swiftwater crews going door to door. Floodwaters cutting off the Warrego Highway yesterday afternoon.
It rapidly came up. Within, 2 to 3 hours, it was up about mid-waist height.
Leaving residents on their own inland island, needing help out fast.
It was quite an extensive evacuation. There was 27 people evacuated, roughly 7 families.
Copping the brunt of the downpour that hit Jandowie earlier.
I don't think anyone will be going past the dam. The current is actually quite fierce.
Turning farmland into lakes, and all that water had to go somewhere.
We had 3 creeks converging on Warra. The flood there was probably bigger than the 2010-11.
Water's slowly receding today and revealing destruction.
We ended up being evacuated latish last night, and we went and stayed in a hotel in Dalby.
Upturned signs and debris. Warra State School's fences ripped from the ground.
It's devastating. It's the worst I've seen it.
An expensive inundation for residents.
I think I've lost about $2,000 worth of mowing equipment.
Joe Wunsch wasn't so lucky. He faces an almighty clean-up, but trying to see the funny side.
Get everything pulled out and put back in, and
Because the worst thing, I don't even have flood insurance for that.
As Warra picks up the pieces, other areas are on high alert.
We actually have some major flood levels along the Condamine River and along the Moonee River as well.
Shows that this is an ongoing event and we need to keep an eye on it over coming days.
Despite warnings from authorities, people continue to drive through floodwaters. You can see the car behind me. It's incredibly deep. The risk is real. The dangers are too, but they don't seem to care. The Western Downs drenched. The clean-up only just beginning. Steve Hart, 7 News.
Well, let's bring in Tony Auden now. And Tony, the rain has cleared, but how long will it stay dry?
Well, Sharon, we have some good news on that front. We're not expecting any significant rain for the southeast or Darling Downs for at least the next week. Maybe just a couple of showers, light showers into the middle parts of next week. I'm at Scarborough at the moment where we're seeing this beautiful blue sky return today, but a couple of other things I've noticed here. The water behind me here has been very brown and murky. That's all of that flood water coming out of the rivers to the south and spreading out into the bay. The other thing, well, it's been pretty windy. We've seen gusts up over 70 k's an hour for some coastal parts of the southeast today. And those winds are thanks to a low spinning up just off the coast. That system is expected to move out into the Coral Sea and amble around for much of the next week. There is a slim chance it could become a tropical cyclone at some stage, so worth just keeping one eye on it. We also have warnings current for that heavy rain over western parts of the state. I'll be back soon with the forecast.
We'll see you then. Thank you, Tony. Queensland's summer of wild weather has prompted the 3 biggest insurers to stop issuing policies to certain customers. Katrina Blowers explains.
Well, a record number of claims for damage linked to recent storms, cyclones and floods has triggered this extraordinary move from Suncorp, AAMI and the RACQ. The trio confirming they're temporarily halting the issuing of policies to any new customers who live in areas at risk of imminent natural disasters. Now, this comes after nearly 80,000 claims and $743 million in insured losses from Cyclone Jasper and the Christmas New Year storms. The bill from Kirrily still unclear. The insurers say the halt is common practice, and if you're an existing customer, you remain protected. Insurers use advice from meteorologists to determine when to issue these policy embargoes and say they could lift them once the weather threat ends.
Thanks, Katrina. A pilot has survived a frightening plane crash in Hervey Bay. Sally Guy, he made a mayday call